Good morning, guys, and welcome to your market update on April the 9th, 2020. Today is Thursday, and I was telling you guys yesterday that the Fed Open Market Committee, they're in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, or they usually meet in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, to discuss policy, what they're going to do, what their plans are. Well, they came out a little early this morning, and in fact, they're trying to front run the futures because of the jobs report. 6.3 million people applied for unemployment this month or last month and into this month. And so that is a historic number, of course. We've seen those numbers developing over the last couple of weeks. And that's not very good for the strength of the economy in the United States. Anyway, I'm sure it's just as bad anywhere across the ponds, overseas, and whatnot. Okay? Speaking of across the pond, the Bank of England is the first country to openly monetize their debt. I mean, they just openly monetize it. So they're going outside of the gilt market. And let me back up a little bit. So the Bank of England, usually if they want to borrow money to finance the government, they want to use money to finance government, they have to go through the gilt market, which is basically a conduit that gets the consent of the people. Okay? They need the consent of the people to do that. All right? So by them bypassing the gilt market, they can pretty much print whatever they want because there's no accountability involved. All right. They don't have to tell anybody what the numbers are or anything like that. I'm sure they will, tell the House of Commons and all those guys what they're doing, but there's really nothing that can be done about it. And the people have no say in it. They have no say in how much the Bank of England is going to back the government. And right now, in a time of crisis, I'm sure they don't mind very much. What does that mean for you and me? Wait a minute. Before I tell you that, the Federal Reserve came out this morning, like I said, and they front ran the futures markets, and they're trying to basically soothe everybody's fears about money by promising another $2.3 trillion spending bill. Now, it used to be that Congress would say something first about the idea, then the Federal Reserve would say, well, we think we can back that, and then we, the people, through the government, would borrow the money from the Fed. No, the Fed's speaking directly now. The Fed's coming out directly, just like the Bank of England, and saying they're going to just create more money, more currency, Federal Reserve notes out of thin air to print and to finance government programs. And the same thing with the Bank of England. That's what they're doing. The point I'm trying to make, people, is that we're heading into hyperinflation. And if you're a stock market person, you have a 401k that's in the stock market, I really am on the fence. I don't give financial advice or anything like that. I try to tell you what I plan on doing. So for now, I've got, for example, my 401k in capital preservation. So it's in the capital preservation mode. I'm in treasuries, so to speak, for the United States. That's how I'm invested with my retirement plan. But as I see these things developing, I remember what hyperinflation was like when it hit Venezuela, when it hit Argentina, the Weimar Republic in Germany. Oh, wait, let's not forget our favorite country when it comes to hyperinflation, Zimbabwe. And for a while, the Zimbabwe stock market, it outperformed everything on earth. Now, what was the value of the individual currency that the Zimbabwe stock market was valued in? That wasn't very high, which is why they had to continue printing larger and larger and larger pieces of currency to accommodate this hyperinflation. Could we see this? Do this? And if we did, would not the Dow be at 13 quadrillion tillion? Of course it would be. And would your 401k look great? Of course it would. But would it be able to buy anything? Is the question. So I don't want to tell, I'm tempted to go into the equities, right, to see if I can catch some of this hyperinflation. But by the time I retire, which is years from now, will that account even matter at all? All right. So anyway, we're heading into hyperinflation, guys. This is not the end. We're going to see more of this activity. We're going to hear more of these words, trillion. Will we hear the word quadrillion before the year is over in terms of money printing? Now remember, the dollar, the Federal Reserve note, is the world's reserve currency. Every other currency on earth is tied to it, okay? Either through the petrodollar, which controls the price of oil, or, just through the Federal Reserve, period, in our debt system and the treasuries and the bonds that we hold in the United States. So I'm telling you, hyperinflation is coming, and if you're not prepared for what it can do, it can do some good things for like a minute. And then like the next 3 or 4 hours, relatively speaking, it is hell on earth for people that are valued in the old currency. All right. There's only 1 or 2 vehicles that can transport you from here to here, or even here, without causing you a lot of financial damage. And that is gold and silver. Gold and silver, they are the quintessential transport vehicles for your wealth going from one monetary system to another. One monetary system that's good and then fails, and then you move on to something else. Who knows what it's going to be? But your gold and silver, it does not change in its value, its ability to generate currency, whether it's old currency or new currency. And in fact, I'm getting with the broker this weekend, and he's going to help me out because I want some of those Archangel Michaels from the Ukraine silver coins, and I'm going to see if I can offload some of the mini quarter-ounce gold South Korean tigers to get some. All right, so he needs some South Korean tigers, some quarter-ounce gold South Korean tigers. I need some Archangel Michael silver Ukraines, and so I'm going to do a sale to him, and then I'm going to buy some of those silver coins because I consider that the currency I want to use to get from here through here and on to whatever's next. All right, hyperinflation. It does not have to be part of your life, but it is coming to a neighborhood near you. All right. So 5150 here with a short morning report. Like, share, subscribe. Oh, really quick before I take off. Looks like equity is going to do really well today. I think the futures for the equity markets is probably up 1.75% to 2% on the Fed's words. But hey, hyperinflation works both ways, baby. You inflate equities too much, and then gold and silver, they get a whiff and a sniff, and they start to come along for the ride too. Gold is up right now about $50 in the early morning markets, and silver is up about 50 cents. Maybe even 60 cents by the time this report's posted. So you guys just keep an eye on the markets today. It was supposed to be a big day no matter what. I told you it was going to be fireworks, maybe not the kind we were expecting. But if the Fed says they're going to spend $2.3 trillion and they do it before the market opens and they don't even go through Congress first, and then the Bank of England decides they're going to directly monetize their debt and buy stuff for the government without going through the gilt market, yes, that is fireworks, people. These are big, huge, historic momentous movements in these central banks. They are taking over. They're trying to buy everything. And the good part is that we get to sit back and enjoy the ride. The bad part is when they're done, they're going to own us. So put yourself in a position where you are not necessarily going to be a debt slave. You have your gold and silver, and you can move around in the gray market, which is not going to be legal, but it's just not going to be out in the open when everybody else is suffering from hyperinflation. Seeing this, I got plenty of these. Go to this, and it really won't matter. Later on in another show, I'll show you pictures of Zimbabwe, or you can look online and just type in Zimbabwe hyperinflation, and you'll see little kids running around with wheelbarrows full of these. Wheelbarrows full of these. Amazing. And the Zimbabwe note, Zimbabwe dollar, back in 2003, you could get 5 of those for one of these. 5 one Zimbabwe notes for one of these. And that one Zimbabwe note turned into this probably in a couple of years. And that's how bad the hyperinflation got there. Don't let it happen to you. Get some gold and silver. I know the premiums are high. I'm going to buy some this weekend if I can. And then I get paid next week. So I might actually wait until next week, get a huge sum of money together, and see if I can get enough stuff to avoid taxes like we talked about in the other video. All right, guys. Now, like, share, subscribe, comment. And we will see you either later today or tonight with some cool silver and a song. And have some fun. All right. We'll see you. Take care.